When I was a kid growing up, I enjoyed watching the TV game show Family Feud. Whenever I visit the burrito barn in town, I enjoy catching up on a rerun of it or Deal or No Deal. Some people enjoy a good feud about the best pizza in town, favorite sports team, or best class at school. But I'm not a fan of real feuds that impact real relationships. Feuds can feel like a giant wall of division being built between us, a wall no one is willing to tear down or to climb up. There are so many reasons why a wall of resentment might get built in a relationship. We fight, we compare, compete, sometimes we just stop talking to one another. All of these individual bricks or stones of misunderstandings, hurt feelings, prejudice, and jealousy eventually grow into a wall of separation in our relationship. When we don't deal with these walls, they can result in a relationship so broken that it seems impossible to put back together. This is a problem for many of us today, but it was also a problem for the early followers of Jesus. Tonight, we're going to pick right back up where we left off in Ephesians last week in chapter 2. Remember, Paul wrote this letter to a church family in the city of Ephesus. It's important to know the early church was made up of two groups of people, the Jews and the Gentiles. The Jews were God's chosen people, the people who were used to tell God's story. Gentiles is a word that means everyone who wasn't a Jew. If you weren't Jewish back then you would have been called a Gentile. Before the start of the church, the Jews and the Gentiles were not people you would often find hanging out together. For generations, they had big issues and differences of opinion that divided them. When Jesus arrived and declared that everyone, both Jew and Gentile, everyone was invited into God's family, some Jews and some Gentiles finally began to come together around the message of Jesus. But getting along wasn't exactly easy. Paul knew the walls of separation couldn't exist between followers of Jesus if the church was going to survive. So in Ephesians 2, Paul talks about two walls. The wall that separates all of us from God, and the wall that separated the Jews and the Gentiles. The wall between us and God wasn't built by misunderstandings or disagreements. It was built by us and our sin, our rebellion against God. It's a thing that robs us of our connection to God. Because of sin, every single one of us is separated from God. Paul encourages us by reminding us Jesus has a plan to fix that. Through his death and resurrection, Jesus made a way for us to no longer be separated from God. Jesus took the first step toward us. He tore down the wall that separated us from God. Jesus made a way for us to be reconciled back to God. Paul then goes on to talk about the wall Jesus tore down that existed between Jew and Gentile. Jesus made a way for us to be reconciled to one another. Paul reminds us through Jesus, both walls can be knocked down. Reconciliation and restoration are possible. Thanks be to God. But what does it mean to be reconciled? Paul described the way Jesus tore down these walls. It's incredible that Jesus did this for us, but that's not the end of the story. Jesus didn't just destroy these walls. Jesus then created something new, a new way for us to be close to God, and a new way for Jews and Gentiles to be united under the name of Jesus. When I think about reconciliation, I think about tables. When Jesus tore down the wall of separation between us and God, it's kind of like he took the bricks and stones the wall was made of, and he built a table and invited all of us to take a seat. Walls keep us separated, but tables let us see eye to eye. Tables let us have conversations, to share meals, to invite others to come and join us. Because of Jesus, we are reconciled to God. Because of Jesus, we can be reconciled with each other. We can do for others what God has done for us. Just like God took the first step toward us, we can take a first step toward another. Just like Jesus tore down the walls that divide us from God, we can begin to tear down the walls we've built between one another. Just like Jesus built a new way for us to connect with God, we can work together to rebuild relationships that were damaged. Why? Because we're God's family. And as God's family, we can do for others what God has done for us. I'm looking forward to discussing this further tonight at 7 o'clock here at the church with you. I hope you can join us tonight.